Today is Mindy's first day in Mr. Corbett's junior kindergarten class. Never before has she been in a room with so many other children her own age. She gets to sit at a blue table with 4 other children. She has her very own chair, which has her name taped to the back of it. She is coloring a name tag that will be taped to her place at the table, and she is chattering along with the children at her table. I think I'll color the M in pink, Mindy says. I like pink, it's my favorite color. Tanya, who is sitting next to her, says, I think this letter is looking good. Oops, I colored outside the lines. Oh well, what color should I use for the other colors? I think we're going to learn to read today, Grant says. The 5th member of the group looks teary as she scans the room. Where did Mummy go? She cries as she walks towards the door. Mr. Corbett, noticing the crying child, goes over to comfort her.
5 minutes later.
Pressing a little too hard, Mindy breaks a green crayon as she colors. She walks over to Mr. Corbett to tell him about the broken crayon, but he's preoccupied with the crying child and sends Mindy back to her seat. Mindy hides the broken crayon and resumes coloring with her name tag. Lakshan, seeing this, raises his hand straight into the air. Mindy looks up to see what he is pointing to but can't see anything. As Mr. Corbett approaches the blue table, Lakshan puts his hand down. Thank you for raising your hand, Lakshan, he says loudly enough to attract the attention of the entire class. That tells me you need some help or to tell me something. Mr. Corbett squats down between Mindy and Lakshan. He slowly motions to Lakshan to lower his pointed finger and gently says it's not nice to point at others or to tattle on them. Lakshan frowns and lowers his hand. What's your new friend's name? Mr. Corbett asks, looking at Mindy. Lakshan shrugs. I don't know. Mr. Corbett smiles at Mindy and asks, would you like to tell him your name? Mindy looks at Mr. Corbett and whispers, Mindy, I didn't mean to break your crayon. It's okay, Mindy, Mr. Corbett reassures her. Sometimes that happens with crayons when we press on them too hard. I know you didn't mean to break anything. It isn't a big deal. The more you practice using crayons, the less likely they will break. So then, let's find out who else is sitting at the blue table with Mindy and Lakshan.
A few moments later.
After the children have finished coloring their name tags, Mr. Corbett announces, it's time for us to go outside to play. I'm going to have you line up at the outside door, 1 table at a time. I see that the children at the red table are waiting very nicely. So, red table, you may be the first ones to line up. Please walk slowly and quietly to the outside door. 2 members of the red table run to be first in line. Ignoring them, Mr. Corbett says, My, I like how Sam walks to the door. Did you see how he walked, class? It shows that he's definitely ready to be a kindergarten. Mr. Corbett next summons the yellow table. Wow, did you notice how everyone in the yellow group walked? I can tell I have a pretty awesome class this year. Mindy squirms in her seat until she hears her teacher call the blue table. When he does so, she makes a concentrated effort to walk, not run, to join the line. Once outside, Mindy stands near Mr. Corbett and watches the other children play on the playground equipment. After watching for a few minutes, she concludes that unlike her kindergarten class, running is allowed outside. Mindy runs to play with Tanya, her new friend from the blue table.
A few inches later.
While the class is outside, Mr. Corbett sometimes blows a loud whistle at particular students. Mindy realizes that the sound of the whistle is not a good thing because the children he whistles at have to stop and talk to him, and they usually do not look happy afterwards. Mindy wants to avoid the whistle at all costs, although she's not exactly sure how to do that. Mindy and Tanya spend most of their playtime on the climbing equipment. At one point, a girl in a yellow shirt pushes Tanya to the ground and takes her spot on the climber. Tanya begins to cry and Mindy looks around for Mr. Corbett. Seeing him close by, she raises her hand and waves it to get his attention. As Mr. Corbett approaches the girls, Mindy starts to point at the girl in the yellow shirt, but then immediately closes her fist tight. She nods her head towards the guild child. See that girl in the yellow dress? She asked her teacher. She pushed Tanya off the climber.